welcome to another episode of my music collection. Anyways, I always say that at the end, but now I'm going to say at the beginning. Please subscribe so you are alerted and let you know when I've got a new episode out. I know you can't wait to see these, and now I guess they'll send you a notification or something and tell you, hey man, Steve's blabbing away about his records again. Anyways, today we're going to go through my vinyl and all the artists starting with P. So let us begin. From 1981, first up we have Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and Hard Promises. I picked this up maybe 4 some odd years ago at a record show I went to in Ithaca, New York while I was up there working. Picked up a couple of good things. Actually, one of the other records coming up later I also got at that same show. This was the first record I owned by Tom Petty, but I had the cassette back in 81 or 82, I guess. Pretty early on when I was first getting into music. I remember seeing the video on TV for The Waiting and really liked it. I went out and bought the cassette. And I mean, at that time, I probably owned like 5 or 6 cassettes total. So, I listened to it all the time. I can picture, summer having to mow the lawn. It would take me like an hour to mow the lawn and just having it in my little Walkman, listening to it over and over again. Great album. The Waiting, like I said, is on here. A Woman in Love, Night Watchman, King's Road is really good. Great album, produced by Tom Petty, Jimmy Iovine. You all know him, what he's gone on to do. Great band. I remember, so back then when I picked up this cassette, it was probably like 82. I remember going to a party and, my friends, they were like, hey, bring some music, everybody bring some music, So I remember showing up with a couple of cassettes, and I probably had like my Who Face Dances cassette and this cassette. In the early 80s, like a lot of people, he was kind of like grouped in with like new wave and everything. I remember bringing that cassette and having it like sitting by like the cassette player or something, and nobody knew whose it was or whatever. And I remember somebody going over there going like, who brought Tom Petty? Like all like disgusted with the idea that somebody would bring in. These were all guys who listened to Rush and Van Halen and Led Zeppelin and stuff. And, but I mean, now you'd think that's Tom, the classic rock. Tom Petty's part of that. But at the time, like I said, I mean, he wasn't really looked upon in that manner necessarily. And I just remember thinking it was like ridiculous that they like hated Tom Petty. I think I was like embarrassed to say, oh, that's mine or whatever. But hey, I guarantee you all those dudes have Tom Petty in their iPhones or whatever right now as we speak. Now from 1977, we've got Iggy Pop, Lust for Life. And I think this might be a reissue. Yeah, this is a reissue. This came out in 2017, this reissue. Oh, so it was like an anniversary. I'm surprised it doesn't say that on the cover somewhere. But this was his second collaboration that he did with David Bowie. I don't know that David Bowie's as prominent on this record as he was the previous record, The Idiot. But this is a good record. I picked this up at the Groove Shop. The price tag says $25. I think I bought this when they were going out of business, so I got it for far cheaper than that. Of course, Lust for Life is on here. The Passenger, which is an awesome tune, is on here. Now I'm like looking at the credits and David Bowie's name's all over it, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong with my assessment that this doesn't have as much David Bowie as The Idiot. But anyways, it's a good album. I haven't listened to it all that much. Iggy Pop's face peeking out at you. Went and saw the Stooges when they did like this kind of reunion show at, I think it was Terminal 5 in New York, and Mike Watt from Minutemen was on bass at that point, and we're in there at the show, and Iggy Pop, he's going crazy. I mean, the second the show starts, I don't know how old he is at that time, but late 60s maybe or something, I don't know. But the first chord hits and he goes running off the stage and dives into the crowd, and I'm just like, oh, we're in for a show, man. And great show, man. I mean, I don't have to tell you that the energy was just through the roof. But then he invited everybody, people, come on up on stage if you want. We ran up there to get up on stage and stuff. It was just a great show. 1998 brings us the debut from the Primitives, Lovely. The big song off of this was Crash. If you know the Primitives, if you've never heard of the Primitives, chances are you know the song Crash, even if you don't know who sings it. It was prominently featured in the movie Dumb and Dumber, which is, if you heard it, that's probably where you heard it. The video, MTV really pushed the video like heavily. The song got a lot of airplay like on college stations and stuff, but it just didn't, in the United States, it just didn't seem to cross over, you know, to the Billboard like top 40. I mean, it's shocking that it didn't, because I mean, Crash is such a great classic pop song. It sounds like it should have been a major hit, but it just, they kind of, their career in the United States kind of stayed in that kind of alternative college rock scene. They never really crossed over to the top 40 or whatever, although they should have. I mean, they're, you know, they're a alternative, they're a rock band. They have hints of sort of psychedelic kind of twinge stuff, you know. I mean, they covered some Velvet Underground, what have you, so you know where their, you know, inspirations sort of lie. But great band, awesome singer, great tunes. This album's awesome. Besides Crash, you have Shadow, Through the Flowers, Stop Killing Me, I love that tune, Out of Reach, Ocean Blue. I picked this up at, like I mentioned about the Tom Petty, I picked this up at a record show in Ithaca, and great record. And I think it was right around when they kind of reunited and put out this great album called Spinorama that is worth checking out. If you weren't aware that they put out any new music, check out Spinorama, because you'll think that the album came out right after one of these records. So check it out. And from 1989, we have their follow-up, Pure. This, I think, was the first, I got it on CD, but it was the first Primitives record I bought. I think I picked up Lovely afterwards. Got it through like BMG Record Club or something like that. Sort of hit song off of this that was on alternative radio and everything, was sick of it. I knew that, so that's why I picked it up. And I'd like Crash, so I was like, oh, the band's good. And Way Behind Me is on this. Way Behind Me was released after their first album, and it was a little confusing, because I think Way Behind Me came out and it was a hit over in like England, not here. Video, I think, played on MTV a bit, but I think the Way Behind Me was, the first album, Lovely, was reissued with Way Behind Me on it, and then Way Behind Me also showed up on the follow-up. So it was kind of odd that if you picked up a reissue of Lovely, you'd be like, well, wait, why is the same song on both albums? So whatever. But this album's got great songs. Summer Rain, Dizzy Heights, All the Way Down, Secrets is a great tune. Lonely Streets is awesome. Can't Bring Me Down. After this, it got a little bit trickier. I think they put out like one more studio album. Then there were a bunch of like best ofs and stuff, and it wasn't until much later, when they reunited, that they put out other music. But after this came out, it was a little trickier to find that new record or any of the best ofs and stuff. I'd find them in like imports at like Virgin Records and stuff. But it was a great band. This is an awesome album. From 1974, we've got Richard Pryor. And I'm not going to say the title, but he's crazy. There's a price tag on this. This must be like an original price tag, $6.99, wherever this was picked up. But I got this from Discogs. This album is, I have very specific memories of listening to this album. Oh, man, it was probably like the early 80s that I heard it. We were over at our friend's, Timmy Madden's house, and I don't think he had this. I think his parents maybe had this album, or maybe he did. I don't know. But I remember me, him, and my brother sitting in a room, probably his room, his record player, really trying to be quiet and listening to one of the tracks on here where he's playing his dad and he's telling young Richard that he's got to be home. And he says, have your ass home by 11. And he says, the clock, motherfucker, what the clock say? And that line just tore us up. We laughed so hard the way he delivered this line, the clock, motherfucker, with the clock. And we would just pick up the record needle and just keep playing that over and over and over again. The clock, motherfucker, what the clock say? The clock, motherfucker. It was just like hysterical. And it's just such a memory that's been like ingrained in my brain. I've never forgotten it. I can clearly remember that. And, you know, I don't know, I was probably like 12 or 13 or something, I don't know. But this won the Grammy in 1974 for comedy album. Originally it was put out on Stax. They had a sub-label called Party, and I guess when they folded, Richard Pryor got the control of the masters and he signed a deal with Warner Brothers, and they released this on Reprise Records. That's what version I have here. I think I was working in Iowa like last summer, and I had a day off and I decided to rent a car and take a road trip. I was going down to Springfield to see, you know, Abraham Lincoln's home and all that stuff. And on the way, I was passing Peoria, and I decided that's where Richard Pryor is born. I decided to stop off there. There's like this statue down by the riverfront that they erected in honor of him. So I stopped there and, you know, paid my little respects, so to say. One of the greatest stand-up comedians ever lived. This album I knew I had to have in my collection. I just have like such great memories of it that I knew I wanted to have it, so I picked this up not too long ago. From 1984, we've got Public Image Limited. This is what you want, this is what you get. This is Johnny Rotten's band after he leaves the Sex Pistols. A little more experimental, I guess. They had a couple of popular tunes in Rise and Seattle. This album I picked up at the Groove Shop on Record Store Day. I think I got it for $1. I think I got it for $1 because and they warned me ahead of time, but there's a scratch on it. The record's a little beat up. I don't think I've listened to this yet. I haven't had a chance to pop it on and take a listen to it. It's on my little section under my record player of stuff I've got to get to that I haven't listened to. So I don't really know. I don't know if it skips or whatever, or what the damage is, but tunes on here, I know this is not a love song. I know that. I have a best of Public Image CD, and I know that's on there. But the other tunes I'm not too familiar with. I was reading that they recorded an earlier version of this, and it was released as something like Zero Commotion or something like that. And then the band re-recorded everything and released it as This Is What You Want, This Is What You Get. That's it for the P's of my vinyl collection. Thank you again for watching. Please like the video, comment below, let me know what you think of these records, and you know, if you have any of them or other records by them or anything like that, especially maybe the Public Image record. And subscribe to the channel and watch more of these episodes. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Take it easy.